Hey everyone, how are you going today? We are looking at the Cubie A7Z. Now that's happening for two reasons. One, I just managed to mangle my Ender 3v3SE 3D printer. God, that's a mouthful. So I'm taking a break to have a look at this before I get back to smashing that with a hammer. And two, a commenter in a previous video, which I'll have a look for and put a screenshot here, maybe here-ish, if I can remember, mentioned this and said I should have a look at it. So I was like, well, why the hell not? I do like Radxa hardware. They make some awesome stuff. And this has an Allwinner SoC, not Rockchip like we normally look at. So I thought this could be interesting. What we're going to do is have a look at its features, flash it with the image and see what it does. Probably benchmark it with Geekbench. I'll put the links to the results below if you want to have a look. And then we're going to put it on the SBC tier list that I've started putting together. I'll tell you a bit about that when I do as well. So let's get into it. Have a look at this little thing. So probably pretty obvious, but I'd assume this is going to be one of those zero form factors. Let's get this glossy package off and then have a look at the hardware. There we go, by the magic of pausing my recording. So it says 8-core CPU, 3 TOPS NPU, 4K HDMI, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.4, PCIe 3.0, UFS 3.1. That is pretty bloody good. I bought the 1 gig model because they were actually out of stock everywhere else. And by the way, if you like seeing these SBC reviews and benchmarks and stuff, don't forget to hit the like button down there. It's actually pretty important for YouTube and the algorithm and all of that rubbish. Now, here we go. This is a very cool and interesting looking little device. If I can get a bit better camera focus here, and for the sake of the screenshot, put that over there. So here you can see we have got a pretty compact Allwinner-based zero form factor Radxa device. So we've obviously got the onboard Wi-Fi, the SoC, that I believe is RAM, and then that must be some sort of PMIC. On the back, you can see where any eMMC would be shoved, which is blank. God, the capacitor density on this is insane, isn't it? Then, of course, around the outside, here we've got a really small connector for a fan header, if you want to add one. We've then got our micro HDMI. We've got 2 USB Type-C ports. So this one is USB 2.0 Type-C, and that's got on-the-go mode. This one's USB 3.1, I think it was, with DisplayPort Alt mode too, so you can have a secondary display on this one. We've got our 40-pin Pi 2 style header. On the back at this end, we have a MIPI CSI 4-lane interface, so of course you're going to need some sort of breakout board or a connector for that. I believe that is a non-standard density connector, but I'm not sure because I mean, the FPC connectors these vendors use really do seem to vary, but I'd assume that any of the 4K Radxa cameras are going to have that interface, either IMX415 or something. UFS storage is going to go there if it has it. That's your PCIe Gen 3 FPC. I'm not sure how many lanes, but I'm going to assume it's a single lane, and you'll probably need another breakout board for that one too. SD card slot and mounting holes, of course. So it's very, very straightforward. The fan header connection is actually pretty cool. I'm impressed with that. And of course it comes with this little FPC antenna. There doesn't appear to be an onboard antenna there. So off the cuff, it's a pretty nice, simple little device. You can get it from AliExpress, AllNet China, and Erase. I got this one from AliExpress, the official store, just because the others didn't have stock, and that's why I ended up with the 1 gig model. So there's a fair few places that do normally stock it, and honestly, it was $15 US. I've seen it vary from $15 to $18 US, and that includes shipping. So very affordable, but again, some people like these Allwinner SoCs, some don't. It's maybe personal preference. We will benchmark it though to see how that goes. Now, before we go any further, I just wanted to thank PCBWay for sponsoring this video. They're doing all sorts of cool stuff at the moment. Now, that one's actually over, but the coolest thing that they do is they continue to support this channel. So I'm going to put a link below, which I would love if you'd click to sign up for your account. Free, no credit card required. And by using it, you'll also get $5 off your first order. So you can see here, if you do want to play with some PCB designs or even go to their shared products and make something, like manufacture something someone else made, you just pay shipping. And honestly, if you're in Australia, so if I go to Australia here, the shipping options start from $6. So 10 pieces, 100 by 100 mil, 2-layer, 1 to about, I think they do 2.0 mil, all fit within that $5 price bracket. So that is awesome. I continue to use them for everything that I make just because they are my favorite PCB manufacturer. They have amazing quality and amazing service, and I'll continue to use them, even if they ever stop sponsoring you one day for God knows what reason. So go check them out. Use the link below and drop them a line. Say, thanks for sponsoring Platima Tinkers or whatever you want. If you're into anything else, by the way, like their 3D printing and CNC machining, they have a stupidly large amount of materials here that no one else can compete with. So they really do kind of cater to everyone, and that's just another reason that I love them. Getting back to the product at hand, though, this thing. I think what we're going to have to do is grab an SD card, stick the latest Debian image on it, which I believe, unfortunately, is only Debian 11, but we'll try it out and have a look, boot it up and see what sort of performance we get, and then we can run some benchmarks and talk about the capabilities of that. So if you want to hold on a tick, I'll go grab the SD card, we'll make this happen, and see what sort of experience we have. One sec. All right, this is all set up to go. I hope. What we've got is one of my HP MX330 SD cards. I've still got these in stock, by the way. These are incredibly reliable and fast, and that's why I'm using them. They are end of life, I think, though, so I'm going to replace them with the MX350 once stock runs out. So grab them whilst you can because they're cheap as chips and excellent. We've then got our micro HDMI to HDMI adapter here. These things fall apart at the drop of a hat, though, so I'm hoping this one still works. Wireless keyboard and mouse plugged in with the USB adapter there, and cable ready to go. So that is flashed with the latest Debian image from their GitHub repo, which is the same one linked in the documentation. And we're going to plug it in. So I'll switch over now to the HDMI input. Hopefully you can see that. And plugging it in 3, 2, 1, go. Green light comes on straight away. And we wait to see if we have any output. I'm not seeing any flashing LEDs. I can't see that there is another LED though, but I'm also just not seeing any HDMI output. Green light turned off. Green light's blinking. All right, so that looks like a heartbeat light, but what I think I've done is my computer probably has the wrong... Oh, no, there we go. We're starting to see something. Got a mouse cursor there. There we go. All right. This is looking fairly nice. Let me plug that mouse back in. So, don't know what's with that black square. Radxa. It's R-A-D-X-A, but it's pronounced Radxa, or so I've been told. Oh, we've got a KDE interface. KDE's come a long way. The last couple of releases I've been pretty happy with. Some people complain about the inconsistent UI design, and that is something that they are working on, I believe. There's a lot of discussions on GitHub about it, but it has been a lot nicer and easier to use. So, first things first, we are seeing not great signal strength here. I would expect better, but it is just a little 57%. It's pretty close. So it is just a tiny FPC antenna. So with a full antenna, it might be a little bit better. That was also the wrong network. We'll connect to that one. That is the one that we want. There we go. That looks pretty good. So what sort of speed do we have there? 0 bits per second. Awesome. I'm sure that's legit. It comes pre-installed with a fair few things. I'm not sure what sort of graphics driver they're going to be using though. The mouse and keyboard is fairly responsive. There's a little bit of lag, I'm guessing, just as it first gets set up. Let's grab console. Oh, SunXI Chromium browser. That's definitely different. So it's ripped the Google API keys out. Oh, well, it's because it's Chromium, and it's running in that sandbox mode. So if we go about GPU, ouch, not much good going on there. What benchmarks have we got here? Let's go sudo apt install GL Mark 2, everything, just whatever. And don't mention what I'm doing with sudo here. I'm sick of you pissing and moaning in the comments about it. I don't really care. It's 20 years of habit. Now, what was I doing? apt update and apt search GL Mark II. Cool. The internet might be working. Yep, that's going. So here, let's quickly try the flags, and we'll just enable the unsafe GPUs. And I think that might be all we need. Software rendering list as well. Yeah, we'll try that, see if we can get a little bit more power out of it, but we don't know what it's going to do yet. I'm kind of showing you what I do when I'm testing these, by the way. Oh, still not great. What else can we do in here? Just trying to think. There's really not too much. So we can forcefully enable a few things. That one we can't do anything about. WebGPU doesn't actually matter too much, but no, there's nothing that we can do with WebGL. WebGL 2. It really doesn't look like we're going to have any 3D acceleration in this Chrome, but let's try Conqueror as well, because that is the main browser it's supposed to come with. Now, there is nothing going on there, is there? Hardware accelerated V. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So Chromium in this image isn't doing well. And Conqueror, I don't think will do well either. So let's try a WebGL test. All right. This is from memory at Firefox base. I don't actually use Conqueror very much. It might not be based on anything, but it's based on not working right now. So I'm just going to give this a moment for these packages to update. So far, the interface does seem really good. So we've got quite a small device. The SoC is, not even the slightest bit warm. If we look at the specs of this thing, which I kind of missed at the start actually, it's a dual-core ARM Cortex A7Z, and it's then got 6 ARM A55 cores, so 2 GHz for the big cores, 1.8 GHz for the small cores. It then has a E902 RISC-V RTOS or RTOS real-time operating system coprocessor. So I believe you can program it and do some real-timey stuff if need be. Imagination GPU, which is going to be 90% of our problems. 3 TOPS NPU, of course, up to 16 gig of RAM, but this is the 1 gig model. The storage options, video output options, MIPI CSI camera options that we talked about before, onboard Wi-Fi, and it says 5 volts up to 2 amps. Right now it's drawing 0.3 amps, so 1.5 watt. 0 form factor, so it's 65 by 30 mil with a 40 pin Pi 2 header. I'm going to let this keep updating, and it's going to take a minute because of the crap Wi-Fi. I'll probably do an app upgrade as well, and I might even connect a network connection to it just to make it a little bit faster, or swap the, actually, that's what I can talk. Oh, well, that just moved the camera up. Does it? Yep, it still works. I just kicked the shit out of it, out of the cable even, which is really not ideal. What you can try doing though, I do have these in stock as well. I'm just going to very carefully swap out that UFL antenna connector for a better one. You got to be careful with these things. I've destroyed a lot of them. So there's a bigger antenna attached to it. And if we go back to our input, yes, it's not really doing much. It hasn't really improved any of the performance, has it? Oh, no. So the Wi-Fi on this might be a bit limited, but I'm going to let this run for a bit. Finish the app update. I'll do an app upgrade and I'll reboot. We'll see if that fixes anything. And then we'll come back and we'll have a look at the rest of what we can do with the GPU support in the browsers there, if that's changed at all, and we'll put it on the tier list. Now, if you have not seen the SBC tier list before, it's this thing here. And essentially all I've been doing is as I review each thing, I kind of classify it on a few features or a few details like price and availability, its specifications, the documentation and support, software images available, performance and reliability, and the accessories. So you see, unfortunately, down here, the Orange Pi RV2 didn't do too well, whereas some others, like this thing, the Armstrong Siege 7, which I reviewed recently, is my favorite SBC to date. That is the best thing. And yeah, they all get kind of broken down and assessed here. And if you're curious at all, you can jump straight to where you might be able to buy it, or you can watch it on YouTube. If you're not sure what I mean by ESBC or ESB or dev board, I've actually started a GitHub page with these taxonomies in there, essentially defining what they are. But in short, SBC is like a Raspberry Pi and it has HDMI out or some sort of video out. And ESBC doesn't have video out but still runs Linux and a full Linux, as opposed to an ESB. So this can't run Linux, or it might run a no MMU version of Linux, but primarily it's going to run Android or a real-time operating system or something like that. And then lastly, we've got dev boards. These are not really SBCs. They're kind of bigger devices meant to show off the functionality of an SoC or MCU, like the ESP32P4 we tried out. I thought it worth describing those and breaking them down because SBCs used almost too colloquially sometimes. Moving on from that though, I've had some visitors. I thought it might be worth mentioning that I do have Patreon. I don't really make any money from it, but it's possibly because it's just too cheap. Starting at like $3 Freedom or $4 Australian dollars per month, up to you making too much money. And of course, you do get a shout out at the end. You get one-on-one support for your SBCs. You get all sorts of stuff, like even behind the scenes access. So you won't see everything here, or you only see previews of it, but you can watch my videos without adverts, and you can see some stuff that I get up to that the public can't see. So if you want to support me on there, that would be awesome. If not, just whatever, man. I don't actually care. So we'll go back to this thing now, wait for it to finish updating. I'll stop recording. I'll come back once it's done and we'll see what's happening. I'll catch you shortly. Just thought I'd start recording again here because I was doing the update process. And in case you weren't aware, it's always best to do it with our setup. So in here, under System, there is the System Update option. And that's going to manage the setup in a bit of a special, careful way so that you don't break anything. But here, it seemed to break itself. So I'm just going to try again. And I've just leaned the antenna up here and the Wi-Fi reception's excellent now. So yeah, I'm going to try these last three packages again because they looked important. They looked specific to this board. So that's the Wi-Fi module there, AIC 8800. Interesting that it appears to be connected with a USB interface internally. But there is the task Radxa Cubie A7Z. And I don't know why my mouse isn't showing up, but you can see that there where the errors were. I don't know what that would be, but it could be important. So we'll let this run. Whilst we do, if we just have a very quick look. No, keyboard and mouse ain't even working at the moment whilst it's doing whatever it needs to do. So we'll let that finish. You can see though that it's a 5.15 Linux kernel. That is sad, but I mean, it's LTS, it's stable, it's more than doable. So we'll let this finish and then we'll come back and reboot it and see if anything's changed. Yeah, look, no luck. So what we're just going to do is, that's what we thought. 5.14, 1 gig of RAM. It's not using very much, which is quite good. But back here, let's just, in at 6. Reboot this thing. We'll see if when it comes back, anything has changed. Whilst we're at it, I need that one back. There we go. And we'll watch this boot back up now, hopefully. Getting there, getting there. Okay, so we've got this heartbeat light. That's when it gets to kind of that last point that we don't really have any output before then. Not sure why. There's definitely some graphical issues, but Imagination Technologies, from what I understand, have just decided to stop working on GPUs and go back to what they're best at, which is good because their whole Power VR line and all the issues with them are just sad. Oh, look at that. We have lost Wi-Fi, which means we really can't do anything. So I think you might have to call it there for this one. I will manually copy across Geekbench so we can benchmark this thing. And if we're to kind of critique it or review it, let's have a quick look. Price and availability. There's not much availability, but it is around in a few places. It might not be manufactured anymore though, because it is actually hard to find. It is priced well though. So for that reason, let me get my pencil. I'm probably going to give it a 3. It's not great, but it's getting there. Features and specifications. So good form factor, potentially good SoC, like the specs that are really good. Wi-Fi on board is excellent. GPU can eat a bag of something I'm not going to say. SD card slot, no real-time battery connector, but it does have the fan connector, and quad-lane MIPI CSI is pretty awesome with 4K support and a 3 TOPS NPU. So for features and specs, I hate the GPU, but that's about it. So I'm going to give it a 4 for features and specs. Next, documentation and support. Now, I didn't show the documentation, but some of the links didn't work, and it was quite limited. I'm not sure if Radxa are moving to a new documentation system, but it really wasn't as good as their usual stuff. But they do have the GitHub build and the repos and different images there. The images don't relate to the documentation, but does give a little bit more, so that's also going to be a 3. Next, software and images. It's Debian 11, and they've got the T release for the testing or B release for stable, but there's really not much. So it doesn't appear to be updated much. They had no third-party images listed, nor could I find any. SDK is available, of course, but the kernel version's quite old. So for software and images, I'm going to give it a 2. Performance and reliability. General use seemed good. There was no GPU support at all that I could find. Wi-Fi strength wasn't great. Got better when we put the bigger antenna on it, but then as soon as we tried to do an update, even using their method, Wi-Fi is dead. So I'm going to have to give this thing a 2, unfortunately, for performance and reliability. Lastly, accessories and compatibility. So it's using USB Type-C power, which is great, 5.2 volts going into it. No PoE support, does have camera support, does have onboard and external storage options. Supports HDMI, but it's using the micro HDMI, which drives me mental. It supports, I'd imagine, most Pi 2 style hats, but you would really think they would have the headers pre-soldered, or at least in there. So that wasn't awesome, but it should fit most of those zero form factor cases because that is a stock standard layout these days. So, it's a tough one, but I've got to give it maybe a 4 for accessories and compatibility. So we've got 3, 4, 3, 2, 2, 4. So if the math in my head's right, that's 18. Divided that by 6 makes that a clear 3 out of 6. So 3 out of 6, this is all in my head, by the way. It would be right in the middle. That's going to be a B tier, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. We were fair and honest. What could be fixed is the software. I mean, release a new image with a newer kernel that might be subject to Allwinner's SDK, but release newer images and fix the repo. Most of the issues with this could be fixed just with software, so there is chance for redemption, but this might be a bit of an older product. It's A55 and A76, so I wouldn't think it's too old, and it has a lot of potential. And if Tom Cubie, the bloke that runs Radxa, puts his name on this, well, come on, guys. Generally, you do better work than that. I'll get Geekbench onto it. I'll get that running. For now, though, I'd love to know what you think below, or if you have tried this out, if you've got your own image for it, or anything like that. Back over on the computer, thanks again to PCBWay for sponsoring us, bunch of absolute legends. And don't forget about my Patreon if you want to sign up and help me out. It goes a long way. Otherwise, just like and subscribe as usual. The patrons that have subscribed are making a hell of a difference. So every little bit counts, and you guys essentially paid for this for me. So I greatly, greatly appreciate that. On Reddit, there is r/SBCs, which I'm a mod of, but also contribute to. Great bunch of people. We're slowly building up the numbers there, so come and check it out. I'd love to know what you think, though. Thanks for coming along and watching this. Shame, but potential. See you guys next time. Take it easy.